Why do formed stones must be destroyed? Take the Zhangzheng mountain, which looks like a general, for example, was just blown up not long ago. And the Zhumang peak, which looks like a python, was also targeted until a netizen said something. I suddenly realized. Legend has it that if these stones violate the laws of nature and secretly cultivate into shape, they would successfully transform. They would become demons and stir up trouble, just like the Jiangxi giant python peak destroyed recently. From a distance it looks like a python with its head up. It was said that it almost could ascend to heaven, but were nailed by several rock climbers. We're nailed to the mountain with 26 nails. Coincidentally, these nails just happened to be fixed at the 7-inch point. At this time, some people couldn't help but think of the legend of Lao Wokan in Yunnan and Laos. It happened in the 1960s, in the northern part of Luliang County, Kujing City, Yunnan Province. There was a village called Lao Wokan. For over 50 years, there has been a saying that Lao Wokan will be buried in a big quilt sooner or later. On the night of November 22, 1965, a large-scale landslide occurred in Logao village, with a volume of 390 million cubic meters, broke from the top of the Defengya Pass, and slid into the Pudu River. At this moment, the landslide only affected Lo Wokan, Amijiao village, Dayan Tangba village, Tangbo village, and Zhangshou village. These 5 villages were buried. More than 400 people were killed or injured. The villages were buried under more than 100 meters of rubble. No one survived in the village, except for Shua Shepherd and his family of 5, several students studying outside, and adults who went out. After the incident, a team of expert investigators was ordered by their superiors to the village. Until they returned a week later, Shu participated in the whole process. The following is what the party Shu said. According to Shepherd Shu, the village where they lived came from other places due to famine. So there are many surnames in the village, because the mountains here are rich in products. The wild animals in the mountains can be hunted. There is also a river, and there are many fish in the river. They lived by the mountains and water for fishing. The living conditions here are very good, and there was no external disturbance or war damage. Living in this forest is like living in a real-life version of Peach Blossom Land. Unfortunately, these good days didn't last 100 years. The day before the landslide, Shu drove the sheep to the mountain. He lay down on the ground and took a nap. He was awakened by a shaking. He sat up and looked. He saw the Qing Shifang in the distance seemed to move a few times. It looked like it was about to spit out before eating, licking its lips and teeth. Shu had never seen a lion, so he rubbed his eyes again and looked carefully. Qing Shifang was quiet, but the mountain shape had changed, and red mist emerged from it. A crack appeared in the middle of the mountain, so he shouted to the team leader at the foot of the mountain. The mountain cracked, I just saw. Qing Shifang opened its mouth, but was scolded by the captain severely, and at that time speaking such feudal superstition would have serious consequences. Shu dared not say anything anymore until he went home after herding sheep. He told his father about it. Unexpectedly, Su Fu's face changed greatly, and quickly called the whole family to run up the mountain. Before Su Fu fled, he told the village chief about it, but was laughed at by the village chief and others, and could only leave helplessly that night. From the mountain collapse to its stop only took less than 10 minutes. The collapsed mountain filled 10 square kilometers of the Pudu River Valley. On the 23rd night, another loud noise was heard. A large part of Yinpanliangzi collapsed. A lime cave house completely disappeared. The collapse continued to expand. The red smoke lasted all day. This collapse formed a natural dam 2.7 kilometers long, 179 meters wide, blocking the water of Pudu River. Hours later, the surging river water gushed out of the earth dam. The mountains and fields were filled with loud rumbling, forming a 22 square kilometers pool. When the county's rescue team arrived, they found that there was no rescue. The former valley turned into a plain, and the eyes were full of yellow sand and rubble. The county quickly reported the matter. After the superior leaders learned about it, immediately sent a 5-person inspection team to investigate. After the team arrived at the scene, ordered the county to immediately arrange personnel to evacuate all the people in the surrounding villages, and asked Shu's family to inquire about the situation. When Shu saw the 5 people in the investigation team, he felt very strange, because they were dressed differently, which didn't look like the image of a leader he knew, except for the middle-aged man in a suit. 2 of the other 4 were young men in military uniforms. One of the fat men held a trident in his hand, and an old man in a Taoist robe, and an old man with a painted face, and dressed like a person in a play. Later he learned that they were all from the Bureau 749, specializing in handling paranormal events. After Shu finished telling what he knew in detail, the middle-aged man leading the team frowned. The old man in the Taoist robe was even more furious, saying words like bold monster, and other words about slaying demons, because Shu was the first to discover the anomaly, and he had been herding sheep nearby for years, and familiar with the local situation. So the leader of the expedition team discussed with Shu's father if Shu could help lead the way. Seeing the county leaders, who were respectful to the team members, how dare he refuse, and agreed on the spot. Then Shu led the team to the mountain where he used to herd sheep. They found that the momentum of Qing Shifeng had become more fierce, as if it was about to break free from the mountain. The leader told the middle-aged man who led the inspection team. The middle-aged man frowned even more after hearing it. The frown between his eyebrows looked like a vertical eye. The middle-aged man muttered to himself in a low voice. Then he asked, "I heard that there is a rumor in your village." Shu nodded and said yes. Yes. Then he read out the rumor that had always been, rhyme that had been regarded as a children's song. Lao Wu Village, Lao Wu Village. We'll have a big bed sooner or later, the middle-aged man asked again. Do you know who spread this rumor? Shu tilted his head and thought for a long time. He said it was probably said by Chen's father. I heard from the elders in the village. The Chen family used to be witch doctors, and the village would hold some sacrificial activities, slaughtering pigs and sheep, and sacrifice to the mountain god, which was very lively, but I never saw it. Later, a leader came from the county, who said he was against feudal superstition. After being educated by the government, he changed his ways, and never did that again. Then there was this jingle. The old man in Taoist robe listened, looked at the man who looked like a performer, and sighed, and walked to the side to chant incantations. The middle-aged man looked up at the distant Qing Shifeng, turned his head and continued to ask, "The family of Uncle Chen you mentioned didn't escape with you?" Shu shook his head, saying that Uncle Chen moved out of the village after his father's death. By the way, Chen also burned his father's body into ashes, and took it away in a box. The villagers said that Uncle Chen was unfilial, and didn't let his father's body be buried. The fat man with the trident nudged with his elbow. Another young man winked and said, "Lao Wu, I didn't expect cremation to be practiced here." The young man called Lao Wu glanced at the middle-aged man with a frown, then whispered, "Liu Pengzi, shut up. You don't know when to joke." Liu Pengzi also realized his mistake. He scratched his head awkwardly, then took out a candy from his pocket, and put it into Shu's hand, saying, "Kid, thank you for your hard work. Go back and find your family. We'll handle the rest. We will give these villagers an explanation." At this point, Akshu, who was already old, picked up the cup and drank tea, and took a few breaths before continuing. "After I went back, I heard noises in the mountains in the distance all night, and the earth shook 7 times. It was like the end of the world that night. We didn't dare to sleep. The whole family just hugged each other, and waited until dawn with our eyes open. Probably in the afternoon, the expedition team came back with injuries, and then told the county leaders something, and then left. That fat man Liu turned around, and said to me with a smile, 'Kid, I have fulfilled my promise to you.' About a week later, the county arranged for us to go to another place. I later secretly went to the mountain where I herded sheep, to see that the Qing Shifeng and surrounding mountains were fine. I don't know what happened at that